Now, King Charles III has officially been proclaimed as the new British monarch. This, of course, follows the passing of his mother, Queen Elizabeth II, on Thursday. The UK is currently on a 10-day mourning period for the late Queen. But to speak about King Charles's reigns, we're joined now by our UK correspondent, Olly Barratt. Olly, thanks for joining us. I think let's just start off with today's proceedings. We do know that King Charles III is now officially the king.
Yes, he's officially been proclaimed the king, which effectively means that the various wings of government are recognising that that is the case. It's an ancient ceremony, but it was televised for the very first time ever, and it was also hosted by a woman for the very first time ever. Penny Mordaunt, who's an MP, was in charge of proceedings. She's the president of the Accession Council. We saw King Charles approving various formalities, and we saw that all witnessed by Prince William, now the Prince of Wales, by the Archbishop of Canterbury, by the current UK Prime Minister Liz Truss, and by the Queen Consort, Charles's wife Camilla. And as I say, it's really a formality, getting the government to provide its approval really of the fact that King Charles now has moved into that role, even though he was already the king. As soon as the Queen had passed away, he became the king at that point. But it is a day of ceremony, and it still continues, because that proclamation was initially read out in London, but that led to it also being read out, cascading across other parts of the United Kingdom for that proclamation to be made public, and also gun salutes going off as well. So yes, King Charles was already King Charles, but now he's been officially proclaimed as King Charles as well.
Okay, Olly, I want us to speak about how he mentions and speaks about the duties and responsibilities that he's going to have to take moving forward as already being as having been proclaimed as the king. This is going to be very different to the work that he was doing previously, because he was doing a lot of charity work, a lot of NGO work, and now this is going to be different. He is now the king.
It's going to be different indeed. He can still be associated with some charities, and certainly the Queen was patron of a number of organisations, but what he can't do is exactly the same work he was doing before in the capacity as Prince Charles. And what he also definitely can't do is campaign on any issues publicly. Anything that is considered to be political is really out of bounds for him now. He made it very clear that he accepts that in that first address to the nation. He talked about not being able to devote so much time and energy to issues that he's been passionate about, and those include things like the environment, climate, farming, architecture. He's been very outspoken on those things over the years, and sometimes has received quite a lot of criticism for that, because the royal family is supposed to be apolitical. Well, now he's recognising that as king, he certainly can't do any of that, so it will change the way that he carries out his duties, and he will now slip into the positions and the modus operandi that the Queen used to have. And he's been making it again very clear in the speaking that we've heard from him so far, so that address to the nation, but also that brief speech that he gave at the proclamation ceremony today, that duty and serving the people and serving the country and serving the Commonwealth is what he feels the Queen did and what he feels he now must do.
Olly, I asked you this question last night, and I'm going to ask you again. It looks very quiet where you are. I'm sure it's very different scenes to what's happening outside Buckingham Palace, but Windsor Castle is not far from where you are, and I'm wondering, by any miracle or chance, you have spotted Meghan and Harry.
I haven't spotted Meghan and Harry. I wouldn't say it's quiet. I mean, there are a few hundred people on this street, and they're all heading up to the castle, which is just the building over my shoulder. Up there, it's very, very busy indeed. There are hundreds of people. A lot of the people that are moving up this street towards the castle are bringing flowers with them and things to lay down by the castle. And then sort of the other side of where I am now is where the estate is, that Frogmore Cottage, where Harry and Meghan are. As you say, I haven't seen them, but we think they're here. This is certainly where they stay when they're in the United Kingdom. It's also where William now lives with Kate and his children. They moved here very recently to Windsor. because their children are now all going to school at a place nearby here in Ascot, which is a couple of miles from where we are now. So, interestingly, although William was in London this morning for the proclamation ceremony, he's probably back here now. It's probably the case that William, Harry, Meghan and Kate are all very close to each other as we speak, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're speaking to each other.
Olly, I want to put you on the spot. Do you think they're talking to each other? Do you think they're having a cup of tea together?
I think that's unlikely. I mean, one of the things about Harry's visit to Balmoral, which was remarked upon, was that he not only got there later than some of the other royals through no fault of his own, and by the way, it's now reported that actually the British media thinks that only Prince Charles, then Prince Charles, and Anne, his sister, were there in time to see the Queen before she died. It's reported that neither William nor Harry made it to her bedside before she died. But Harry left very, very quickly. He was gone early the next morning, we assume to come back here to Windsor to his wife Meghan. And so that just leads to further speculation about whether indeed there are good relations or not at the moment between William and Harry and their father, and whether that was part of the reason that Harry left so quickly after what must have been a sad time in which you would have expected that the family would want to be together.
Certainly, I really wonder what's going on there. But thank you so much for that update. We do appreciate it. We'll be checking in with you a little later. That's ENCA UK correspondent Olly Barratt out in Windsor for us.